All right, guys, here we are. We're going into the third week of March here on Kentucky Lake, and if you've kept up with fishing over the last few weeks, you know that we've had some crazy conditions here on Kentucky Lake, some good tournament weights. It's very encouraging seeing the weights. You know, the lake is fishing really good. It has been for a couple years now. You know, we're finally starting to get some quantity and quality back in the lake. But I'll kind of give you a rundown on what's been going on out here. You know, for the most part, we had a pretty cold winter this year, so it's going to take things a while to get really going this spring, I think. Typically, that shallow crankbait bite usually happens in that early part of March, but it all depends on water temperature, and that water temperature is just now getting that consistent low 50-degree mark. We keep having a few cool nights, fronts come through that it's cooling it down, and it takes it a while to get going for the most part, but by mid-afternoon or so, you know, we're seeing that it's hanging right there around that 54-degree mark, 55 degrees, and when that happens, you know, it's a mad dash to the bank for those, you know, those fish. And the smallmouth will do the same thing, but anybody that's been following along, you know, the weights were pretty good, and the Bass Open, there was a BFL over the weekend. Weights were really good, very encouraging seeing that. A lot of smallmouth being caught. But it's that time of year on Kentucky Lake, and fish are going to constantly be moving. So there's a lot of ways you can catch them. We had, like I say, we're coming off of a cold winter. We had some flooding rains here about a month or so ago, and the water is just now finally starting to clear up a little bit. The west side of the lake and in the creeks is still pretty dirty. The main lake's cleared up a bunch just in the last week or so, and then the LBL side is starting to kind of get its color back. But like I say, it's you never know when you're going to get those flooding rains this time of year. Things are constantly changing in the spring, so there's a lot of different ways to catch them. If you're fishing that dirty water and you want to take advantage of that shallow crankbait bite or that shallow spinnerbait, just a few baits that I typically like this time of year, and I'm a power guy. I love to just my favorite way to catch them in the spring of the year is to tie that little flat-sided crankbait on and just go cover water. But you'll see behind me, it's sunny bluebird today. Those are not the good conditions for that bait, and a lot of people, they want to go catch them on a crankbait, and if you just don't have those right conditions, it's just not right for it. But if that's you and you love to go throw a little crankbait or spinnerbait around, that little flat side F4 finesse bait from 6 Cents Fishing, that's the brown eye special. That's one of those baits that you can take and get up on those flat rocky areas or points or you know, those first turns in, and don't be afraid to go halfway back. There's a lot of those fish that are a whole lot farther back than you think they are. I've caught several largemouth back there already this year, and you'll catch some smallmouth too doing that. And if you get those windy days as well, that just a lipless bait. This is the Duke from 6 Cents Fishing, brown eye as well. That's just a great spring crawl looking color for this time of year on Kentucky Lake. It's a great Tennessee River color, but you can cover a lot of water. You get out there, those fish are moving around a lot. They'll get up on those flats that stick out across the mouths of the creeks. You can get, you know, you get too many of these high bluebird, sunny, warm days, it's going to put those fish way back there, and you can get back there. That's one of those baits, a lipless. You can get back there and cover a lot of water and fish those shallow water areas. And then a spinnerbait. This is a Nichols 3/8 ounce with a little red kicker. Anytime you've got colored water, that's a great little bait to toss around, you know, around shallow cover and things like that. Again, it's one of those baits, if you don't have the right conditions, you don't want to waste too much time to it. But if you get the right conditions, a spinnerbait bite is just as fun as it comes right there in the spring of the year. I love to throw a jerkbait. So if you find some of that little bit cleaner water, I've got some bites on it out here today actually, something with a little bit of color to it. The Jank Juice color from 6 Cents is a good one. It's kind of got some chartreuse on it. That one there, I can't even remember the name of the color there, but just something with some chartreuse or some yellow on the sides just makes it pop in that little bit off-colored water. But that's a bait that typically when the water's below that 50-degree mark, you know, they kind of get off that winter pattern and start getting up on those shallow crankbait bite and stuff like that. But if you get these calm conditions, especially if they're not running any water, a lot of times those fish will get up there suspended, and you can catch a lot of fish on that. And the cool thing about that jerk bait is that you can take that bait and catch them over the next month and a half, just because of the number of smallmouth that we have in the lake. There's so many smallmouth in the lake, they're going to go to spawning here before long if there's not some already. They'll start moving up on those shallow flats. So what's going to happen is they'll make their way out from that 10, 15-foot stuff, and they'll start getting up on that shallower stuff, and the water's going to start coming up. So a lot of those fish will come up off those stumps and off those rocks when they start thinking about spawning, and you can use your forward facing and still catch them good on a jerkbait in the spring of the year. So everybody knows you can catch them on a minnow bait. You know, I'm not going to dive too much into it, but I'm not going to say there's fish everywhere, because if you watch the Bass Open guys, you know, when they were here a week or so ago, they caught them up towards the top, but overall the fishing was pretty tough. And the reason I think is because, you know, if it would have been just a few weeks later, it could have really been good. And it would have opened up so much more water. What I mean is that there's a lot of fish that are coming, and they're going to start moving up on those shallow flats, and it would have just been open door for everybody to just get out there and start catching, you know, catch that 15 to 16, 18 pound mark. But you get out there on some of those places where there are still some fish that's moving around using some of that stuff. Just an 1/8 ounce jig head. That's the Aussie from 6 cents. It's a new little bait. It's actually fairly new. That's a really good bait whenever you're using forward facing and you want something that kind of rolls back and forth. Really cool little bait. So check those out. And then a Ned rig. Gosh, it's one of those baits you don't have to talk a whole lot about. It's pretty simple. It's a dome head from 6 cents. That's the Boosa Ned green pumpkin. Real simple. When you get these calm bluebird, even overcast days, but these sunny days like this where conditions are pretty calm, but you do have some water moving through the system, you can get on some of those gravel banks and gravel points, current breaks I call them, and set up and just let the current pull the bait. You don't have to do a whole lot with it, and you get several bites doing it. If you're looking for a bait that, if you followed me at all for any time, you'll know that I love to throw that bait. It's an easy bait for me and clients to set up on out here, and you get a lot of bites on it. And we're in that time of year where you're going to get a lot of bites on a Ned rig if you take the time to throw it. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. Water clarity's finally cleaning up. Water temperature's getting right there where it needs to be. Fish are there's still some fish out on the main lake flats. They're starting to show up more and more every day in that 6 to 8 foot range out there on some of that flatter stuff. And if you're a power guy, you get the right conditions, you can go to the bank. And like I say, don't be afraid to go halfway back and check out some of that stuff. You catch you some largemouth back there, and, you know, wind that lipless around a little bit. And at the same time, you'll catch those smallmouth back there too. But I encourage you to follow me along here the next few weeks. Fishing's going to be really good over the next couple months. I'll try to shoot a report every couple of weeks probably here, and then I'll do a written report. You'll see those. You'll be able to check those out on Visit Kentucky Lake, and then Explore Kentucky Lake, KentuckyLake.com as well. I would encourage you to come see us at Sonar Solutions as well. That's our new electronics shop. You guys that's followed along the last report that I talked a little bit about our new shop there. There was a few guys that I've worked with for quite some time now. We finally just decided to do our own thing. We've got an electronics install shop. We're a full shop, so we can sell you the product, we can install it, and we can take you on the water and show you how to use it. We're right there off of Highway 68, right there before you get to the moors, right before you get to Precision Sonar. They're actually right there, pretty close to us. But come out, see us. You know, we've got a website, sonar-solutions.com. You kind of see exactly what all we do there. But encourage you to come see us. Lowrance, we're a full line. Lowrance, Humminbird, Minn Kota, Garmin, all the products. We can get you anything that you're after. Install it there, and then we'll get you out on the water and show you how to use this stuff. But come down and fish with us this year if I can help you. If you guys decide anybody decides you want a fishing trip, look me up. Email is info@brandonhunterfishing.com. Shoot me a note through any of my social media channels there, and then shoot me an email, and we'll get you out on the water. We'll see you out there.